Okay, and now I'm going to slip stitch over to my very first skull. So 1, 2, 3, if I get into that one. Okay, and now we're going to slip stitch up so that we could get that band across the top of them. Now there's two different ways you can count these. If you want to keep your skulls at the top of them at this distance apart, then you would get the top 6 stitches and chain 2 across here. For my previous work, my very first work, then I didn't do that. I went ahead and I crocheted 8 across the 8 top, so that I went straight across to the next skull. So you can see, across like that. This one I didn't actually separate the rows of skulls all that well, so I'm going to go ahead and do that with this work. So I am going to do the 8 across, keeping with my 8 count. So I'm going to count my stitches. Now you'll see this one stitch opening kind of in the middle there. That one belongs to the first one of the left eye. So you're going to count on the right eye 1, 2, 3, 4, which is actually your very first half double. So you're going to slip stitch into that one. You just got to go up. So you slip. Oops, I think I loosened my hook a little. Slip up that first slip stitch. You're going to slip up the single and slip stitch into that first half double. Okay, let me tighten my hook a little. Okay, so what I'm going to do is chain 1 and single crochet into that same stitch. Or you know what? I think I will chain 1 and half double into the same stitch. And now I'm going to get my stitch marker and mark that one. Okay, so that's 1. Now I'm going to half double the next 7. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and total that will be 8. So that's 8 across, which means I can go directly into my next skull with the half double to its first half double there. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. So just going to do that all the way around till I get back to that beginning. Alright, I finished that, and now I'm going to slip stitch into this first half double, which I had marked. And because I want my skull rows to be a little more distinctive than this one, then I'm going to go ahead and put an extra row of half doubles along the top. So I'll chain 1 and half double into that same stitch. And mark it. And I'll go ahead and half double 1 all the way around. And remember, that will bring me back to my 80 count. So I'm keeping 80 stitches all the way around. This is totally optional to you, but after my first 8, then the first stitch for the next skull actually kind of comes down over here. And if you stitch into right there, then you're going to have this yarn piece across right here. What I like to do is yarn over the entire thing. Half double. And that takes care of that area. So you're not going to be left with the funny looking yarn right there. So I'll do that every time I need to go through that stitch. Then I'll go ahead and half double the entire thing. Okay, finished that round, slip stitching into my first. And now we're gonna do the skull pattern again. And you're gonna do about 3 rows of skulls, depending on how long you want to make your beanie, or depending on how much of a band you have between your skulls. So from that slip stitch, chain 4, double crochet into the same stitch, double crochet into the next 3, chain 4, slip stitch into same as your last double crochet, slip stitch over 5 stitches, chain 4 and start your pattern again. Loosely chain into the chain 4 space, loosely chain up 1, 2 single crochets into the chain 4 space, 1 into the first double crochet, chain 2, 1 into the last double crochet, 2 singles into the chain 4 space, chain 2, Do that same pattern all the way around. Chain 1, single into the same stitch, chain 4, double crochet into the chain 2 space, chain 4, single into the last single, two single crochets around the chain 2 space, and repeat that pattern all the way around. Slip stitch into the eye, single crochet, 4 half doubles, moving over to the other eye, 4 half doubles, single, and a slip. Slip stitch over, 1, 2, 3, and do the same pattern all the way around. Okay, slipping up the slip stitch, single, and into the first half double, going to chain 1, and now I can half double in the 8 across the skull. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you do that same pattern all the way across until you get back to the beginning. Came back around, chaining up 1 and half doubling all the way around again, being sure that when I get to the stitch that crosses between 2 skulls, that I'm going to go around the whole thing. Just like that. And you continue that all the way around. And again, this extra length of half doubles is optional. Of course, everything is optional. Okay, if you want to do a third set, that's entirely up to you, but I'm going to go ahead and close mine off, so I'll show you how to do the decrease. Now, because it's in multiples of 8, then I'm going to be decreasing by multiples of 8. So every 8 set of stitches, I'm going to have a decrease in it. A decrease consists of 2 stitches, so I'm going to have 6 half doubles and then a 2-stitch decrease. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to decrease, so I'm going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a strand, and you can either yarn over and go into the next one again, or you just go straight into the next one and pull up another strand, yarn over and pull through all 4, and that's a decrease. So instead of having 8, I have 7 on this set, and I'm going to do that all the way around, and since I have 80, that's going to give me 10 decreases. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, decrease. I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay, I slip stitched into that first half double. Now I'm going to chain up 1, and since I did 6 and the decrease in the previous row, this is going to be 5 and a decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. Continue that all the way around. Slip stitched, chain up 1, next row, one, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, and you continue that pattern all the way around. Okay, slip stitch, chain up 1, next pattern, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 2, Do that all the way around. Next pattern is what you should have guessed by now. 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease. You do that all the way around. Next pattern, 1/2 double and a decrease, 1, decrease, and just do that all the way around as you have your previous rows. You can see it's getting smaller. Okay, and as you can see, that hole is getting pretty tiny. So the next and final crocheting pattern for this part is decreasing all the way around. So 1 decrease, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and the 5th. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10 decreases. Now if you have yours at a 72 count, then you'll have the 9 decreases. So now I am going to actually cut my yarn at this point. See if I can find my scissors. I couldn't find my scissors, but I found a knife, so that should work. Go ahead and cut my yarn. And I want to keep an eye on where all of those loops are. I'm going to pull that yarn up through all of these loops. put it on my tapestry needle. Then I am going to come over here and loop it around the same stitch that that first decrease is at. Loop it through there, pull it about the same length as all my other stitches and put it back down through that same stitch it was coming through and all those loops. That should keep me with the 8 count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 10. 9, 10. Sorry. Okay. Now I am going to take this and I am going to seal all of these stitches. So I'm going to put that a little bit through all of these. Okay, loop that through, and now I'm going to pull it tight and seal off that hole as much as possible. Now I'm just going to go ahead and do it across. Just to help seal that up. Now I can disappear my needle, my yarn, just work it into there. Pretty much just knot it off and lose your yarn in the stitches. However you want to do it. And that's the end of the tutorial. Skulls, and hope you enjoyed.